guys, it's me, Ruowen Huang. I have a very funky night last night. If I have a chance, I come back and talk about it. But that pushed me in the borderline, of going mental. So I thought I might well just talk about mental illness today. Before I begin, let me first introduce myself. My name is Ruowen Huang. I'm an author, spirit coach, and also a psychic. Today I want to talk about mental illness. Mental illness can be variety. So as I say, I'm not going to talk one by one. I'm just gonna talk about. I'm not even talking about how you're gonna cope with it, because that's gonna be a broader topic. But I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit idea what might cause it, right? So before I go into it, let me do the clarification again. I'm not a doctor, not planning to be one. What I'm sharing with you is only my personal observation and study, and hoping to give you a little bit of understanding on top of what the treatment or something you already know, hoping to be an aid of you. So I'm simply hoping it will help. So if you don't find it helpful, don't worry about it. Don't take it personally. I don't take it personally. So just really want to clarify here. I'm really not trying to replace your doctor's suggestion or anything, or to tell you what I'm sharing with you is the golden rule. I'm just simply hoping to be a help on top of what you are receiving right now. So, or you can see from the perspective of a psychic. So anyway, come back to the mental illness. Mental illness got variety of mental illness, and also got variety of degree. So the lighter as bipolar personality disorder, or I'm just trying to come up with something that's on tip of my tongue. Or schizophrenia, or all those kind of things, like people's behavior demonstrated no logical explanation. It's very easy for people to group it into mental illness. So right now, since for me, I categorize most of the disease to three big categories: physical, emotional, mental, or your spirit. Mental illness, majority of mental illness is, in my point of view, categorized in the emotional disease. That is mostly created through emotional trauma, their feeling. So to get into this topic, let's start sharing with something that I experienced roughly 10 years ago. I don't know exactly when. Roughly about 10 years ago, I saw a news broadcast, having this guy introducing, so-called mental people who struggle mental illness in the downtown east side in Vancouver, right? So while he was interviewing those people would share their experience with him, saying, either their behavior is already out of normal, or some of them would be sharing with him saying, oh, there's a voice talking to me right now, or, they tell me to do this, or they tell me to do that, right? So the conclusion of this guy is basically saying, they say somebody's talking to them, right? Because he doesn't see somebody. So he believed those voices come from illusional or something. But what's so funny, the reason I want to share about the story with you is, I would say in that particular interview that really opened my mind is why some of them, I didn't say all of them, I would say 2/3 of the people who express the experience that they experience, such as someone is talking to me, or they see something, they see a scene or something like that, from a psychic point of view, I could see them. You know what I mean? So when they see somebody's talking to me on my ear right now, I can see somebody's talking to them on their ear right now. Or, when they see certain view continue showing in front of their eyes, I can see what is triggering them to see that, right? Of course, there are few among the people, they are simply just abnormal or cannot explain things logically. But in that particular point, it get me to start looking to, is all mental illness people crazy? Are they all crazy? You know what I mean? Because in that particular interview, I was going through the whole particular interview with that host. So due to that, it get me to really study what is triggering and various different disease, such as schizophrenia or multiple personality does have something tying very closely to their previous experience, previous life or previous whatever, right? But they are patterning. So that is, I tend to find patterning of the all mental illness. So anyway, I feel like if I could break it down, I'm going to talk about more and more. But I really try to group it as one, right? So I'm here trying to share with you what a patterning that I discovered. Because throughout the years I do this, I do have various customers, either themselves or with their family member or the people they know, suffer through serious, or even myself, or even me myself. I feel like I'm always walking on the borderline of the mental illness, right? Because of things I see, things I feel. So anyway, so there is a years long of study or observation myself. But this is what I can share with you. For people who get into mental illness, like that is, they no longer, they decided at that particular moment, logic no longer makes sense. Does that make sense to you? Like logic no longer makes sense. Because our whole body is functioning in three particular important parts. One is logic, one is our physical, then one is our emotional. As I say, our emotion, you will later on realize it triggers a lot of things. And then it balances a lot of things, right? So to keep your emotional balance, quite important. But how you cannot reach that without balance everything else, right? So what I'm realized is usually when someone who is dealing with an actual event or sometimes not necessary event, because for me, mental illness can break down to two things. Two things is called one is called physical. Physical is they can be physically dealing with some trauma that their emotion can no longer handle, or they can experience certain event or situation, scenario that their emotion or logic no longer makes sense. In that point, you will have a breaking point of either I'm going to be a normal people or I'm going to go crazy. So it's very often you will see people will sometimes start holding their head like they can no longer hear this anymore. They just don't want to hear it anymore. You will see the symptoms of that because they are either physically or logically try to experience they are experiencing something that's so overwhelmed they are in that borderline. They don't know they can handle it or not. So if they come to the point they don't believe they can handle it, that is almost the breaking, like the beginning point of how they will start having mental illness or demonstrating mental illness. The other thing is, which is the other category I will share with you, is when someone sensation-wise, that is, they have a sensation or experience. It can be they can be seeing spirits or they see things, their logic no longer can make sense. It feels very real to them, but their logic can no longer make sense. And then they're trying to overuse their logic to make sense of it. So I know it sounds kind of crazy to you. They always look crazy, right? But the reality is, it'll come to the bottom line is they feel overwhelmed. They're emotionally very overwhelmed. And then their logic no longer can support their feeling. So this is a point that they will start having various different signs of emotional or emotional breakdown. That's what I say. And then will turn into a mental illness. So to me, it is a more emotional emotional illness or mental illness because it relates to very much how you feel. Now, I'm going to talk about what would be that tipping point they decided to know. I'm going to stay normal or no, I'm going to go crazy. Throughout the years of constancy studying of various different mental illness, I do realize those patients, or even including myself, it does demonstrate something called low self-esteem. Low self-esteem can very much build from your background, your environment, or whatever, right? So that's why, let me go back to what I said before. Loving yourself is very important. I'm not joking, very important. Because as long as you can stand, you have a ground to stand on, and you believe in yourself, you have faith in you, believe yourself, even when you're dealing with an obstacle later on in life, you will tend to not break down when that tipping point happens. So throughout time, I realized for the people who suffer through the mental illness, they have the constancies of, they don't have faith in themselves. I don't believe in themselves. So that is translated the other word. They have very low self-esteem. Due to they have very low self-esteem, when they're dealing with, either they overanalyze situation or they feeling too much, basically dealing with emotional overwhelm, they very often come to a conclusion saying, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. If that sentence continue repeating in their head, you know what I mean? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then they start having this breakdown. Then this is a situation people will have two choices. One is they can synchronize with their higher self. That means they will all of a sudden seems to know what to do, right? That doesn't happen unless you continuously spend some time with yourself in daily life before you go to that crazy moment. You know what I mean? So if you're the person who spent quite quality time with yourself, always checking with yourself, know how to take care of yourself, when you're dealing with emotional breakdown, and I'm telling you, this doesn't just happen to crazy people. It happened to every single one of us. We will deal with mental breakdown moment. At that moment, if you're the person who spend time with yourself in the regular basis, you realize at that moment, even though you are so emotionally overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, you seem to have that glimpse of solution, or you seem to have the voice say, just calm down, you know what, everything will be fine. You will feel like comfort from nowhere, you don't know what, right? Therefore, continues like help you going forward to whatever you're dealing with. But very often, most of people don't, or a few people don't, right? So when they come to that point saying, I don't know what to do, and then they're really dealing with that emotional overwhelm, like it just way too much, they don't know what to do anymore. If they're the person who never really spent time to listen to themselves and synchronize with self, this is the moment where other spirits' voice will then have a chance to replace your voice. Is that a possess? No. It's just simply because I no longer know what to do. Therefore, I'm giving the power of this body to other voice. This would explain why there's, in the interview, I see there are other voice replacing their voice, or sometimes in very rare situation, they will call upon their own memory. That is, in the previous life or some life, I was more powerful. I know what to do. Therefore, that personality will come out and replace the current personality. So what I'm saying is the similarity or the pattern that I see on all mental illness is when I really dig into it, I realize their current identity or current soul, usually that identity is wrapped up by the logic. It's not really their greater soul. That means they are really disconnected with their spirit. But their logic is usually hiding somewhere very deep down or dark inside them. Like sometimes take really a while for me to dig it out and figure out where they are, right? So anyway, this particular episode, is simply to share my perspective of what caused mental illness, right? To sum it up, I'm not here to talk about how to cope with it because I think that's another big topic itself. So here, just understand the cause of it. From my study, I realized mental illness is mostly caused by emotionally overwhelmed in some point of their life, whatever point of their life. Either they're dealing with an event, situation, scenario, or physically trauma attack that they emotionally no longer think they can handle it, or they could possibly dealing with the sensation, like spiritual sensation, that they no longer know how to deal with it either. But the foundation is the same. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know. I don't know how, and I give up. Does that make sense to you? Because they give up, therefore they allow a chance to have other spirit to talk for them, or in subconsciously they believe the not logical way of explaining or behavior is the way for them to release themselves. Does that make sense to you? So the situation might be varied, but for me, I can notice a little bit similarity in them, right? Based on observing their patterning of behavior, either they say someone's talking to them, or you can see they're always scared of something. Very often you will see the fright in their eye if you really look into them. If you happen to be, friend with those people, family with those people, you may want to consider spend some time looking into what's that fright, what it is that they're afraid of, what it is they are trying to avoid dealing with, what it is like they are trying to avoid, right? You will see that fright in them very often. All mental illness people, you will see. Getting some time to get to know them and understand what is triggering them. Usually they share with you, it's just most of us don't listen. So, those are the things that I can share with you, and I do categorize it to things. Or mental illness can be caused by physical or spiritual, but as I say, there's a pattern to observe that too. So, but in my own I categorize it as an emotional disease. Okay, I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Otherwise I'm just gonna keep going on and on and on. This is a particular episode just to share with you what I think the cause of it. For many of you, I understand it's very difficult to cope with it, but I do understand in the daily basis. Don't wait until things get too so bad, then we don't know what to do with it. Usually people will show symptoms of it, unless it's trauma, unless it's a sudden trauma. That is unexpectable. But, if you understand they have very low self-esteem, it's very important for you guys to figure out a way how to bring that out, how to bring it up, how to bring it out, give them a little bit confidence, walk through the event, walk through the disaster in their mind, how you can cope with it, how you will be there to help them. That is also very important. So anyway, later on, if you guys have very specific question about various different disorder, we can come back and talk about it. Again, if you like what I'm doing, you can always join me live on Facebook, or go to subscribe my YouTube channel or my website, ruowen.com. Till then, talk to you guys next time.